Hi, welcome to the next drawing lesson. In this drawing lesson, we're going to be doing a first angle activity from the textbook, and we've been doing this activity, and it's going to be activity, as you can see there, 6.43. Alright, so without further ado, we look at the front view. What we're going to look now, guys, if you saw in the previous examples, I used a paper, we colored it in and everything. Now, you might not have that luxury. So that's the thing. Sometimes you have to look at the diagram, what you get over here, and you're going to have to try convert it into first angle. So if you can do those techniques, that's great, but sometimes you might not have that luxury, as I said. So let's get on with the drawing. So first things first, I need to draw where the front view is going to be. Now I'm going to look at the front view, and I'm looking at the width. Okay, so I see the following calculation, following measurements. I see there's a 40, and then I see a 10 at the top, and then I see a 20. So 40 plus 10 plus 20 will make it 70, so it's going to be 70 wide. So it'll fit over here, no problem. Now let's look at it carefully, the height. Now there is one measurement missing, and they normally do this because they want you to use your own discretion. Okay, so if you look at the one measurement at the top saying how thick it is at the top there, it says 10 millimeters. But you see over there above that 25, there's no measurement. That is 10 millimeters. They want you to use your own discretion. So you got the 25, and then you got that 10, and then you got the 5 millimeters. 5 plus 10 plus 25 will give you 40. So the size of the front view is 70 by 40. So that's what I'm going to do over here, guys. I'm going to measure an area of 70 by 40. Okay, actually, first things first, let's just draw a construction line, guys. Okay, we're going to build this up slowly. And then I'm going to measure 0 over here. And then I'm going to measure the 70. If you want to, you can put the measurements like the 40, so you can get it out the way. So I'm going to measure the 40, and that 10 millimeters in between, and then there's that 20 over here. Alright, so without further ado, let's just draw construction lines going up. It's always best to start with the front view, and then you build the rest of your other views around the front view. And you must build it in an orthographic fashion that I'm going to be showing you in this exercise. And as I showed you in the previous example. Alright, there we go. So I've drawn all my lines over there. That's all the lines for the front view. Okay, now we need to get some height. And I said the 25, and there was the 10 and the 5, which made it 40. So let's put my set square over here like that, guys. Try to get a set square like this with the measurement with the ruler over here like this, so it's easier to measure. But you can use it with a normal ruler. There's nothing wrong with that. But as I said, guys, it makes life easier and convenient. So we've got this 25 over here. Okay, can you see that? I measure the 25. Plus that 10 millimeters. Okay, plus that 5 millimeters at the end. Can you see it? It adds up to 40. You see what I mean? Alright, it's all common mathematics. Now, once that's done, you can scribe a line across like that, and scribe another line across like that, and then scribe another line across like that. Now, if you look very carefully at this diagram over here, you can start seeing the shape. Oh, yes, we even forgot the 10 millimeter step over here. Let's just quickly get this out the way. What about that one over here, ladies and gentlemen? Let's put that down over here, 10 millimeters. Look carefully. You see this little step over there, 10 millimeters. There's also that slope there, but that's not a problem. You'll see soon just why. Once you do all these measurements, it starts coming together. Okay. Now, as I said from the previous exercise, I like to start drawing the lines, which I can see. Now you can see there's a solid line at the top there from that diagram, that 10 millimeters. Then there's a little step over there, that's 20 long. And then there's another thing, a line underneath there. And then you're going to have a line over here across there. Where's that slope over here? And then you're going to have another line over here like that. Brilliant. So let's quickly do that. Okay, so that's all the horizontal lines done. As I say, I prefer to work from top to bottom. As I said, if I work from bottom to top, the shavings will get stuck underneath this ruler or the set square or the mechanical ruler and will smudge your drawing. So please try to stop from the top. And now I'm going to be drawing the vertical lines. As you can see, there's going to be a line from there to there from this diagram. There's going to be one over there, there's going to be another one over here, and there's going to be another one there, and there's going to be another one there. I mean, it's just look at the picture. That's it. Now, as I said, guys, when I use my set square when I draw these lines, I start from the right and I go to the left. You can also go from the left to the right like this, but just remember, the ruler goes away from your drawings as you're drawing, okay? You mustn't go the direction while you're drawing because, as I said, the shavings will get stuck underneath the ruler. So you can draw from this side or you can draw from the right to the left. Left to right or right to left. Okay, so let's get these lines solid. And there we go. But the front view is not completely done. There's that slope. But if you look at the diagram, the slope comes from the top over here like that. Can you see? And it goes down to there like that. Can you see that? Easy as pie. Just draw it from here to there. If you people do not understand, please watch the video again, okay? Sometimes you have to see it visually and it gets into your head. Alright, so the front view is now completed. Now that we've got our front view done, this is what I normally like to do. I like to measure 20 millimeters away from the view. So I'm going to measure 20 millimeters below. And draw a line. And then I'm going to measure 20 millimeters across from the front view. And draw a line. Now you see I went underneath there, that was naughty. But this is a construction pencil, doesn't make too many shavings, should be fine. Alright, so now we've got our areas to do the left view and our top view. As I say, use your own discretion where to start. It doesn't matter because they all add up at the end of the day. I prefer to start with the left view, so we're going to go to the left view first. And when I do that, guys, I project all my lines across. So I project that line. Now remember, we're seeing the left view from here, hey? We're seeing it from that angle. So we will not be able to see that step, okay? Because look at the 3D model, guys. You're looking at the left view from that direction. So you won't be seeing that little step over here. So I'm not going to project it unless they want hidden detail. If the question says they want hidden detail, then you project it and you put it as hidden detail lines. Alright, so let's go. I'm just going to check something quickly. Okay, it says we must show all hidden detail. So therefore, we have to show the hidden detail. Alright, so we are going to project that as well. But just project it faintly. Just faintly, as I say. Project all the lines across. Okay, so there we go. There we go. Alright, so now we're looking at the left view over here. Let's look at the measurements that they've given us for the diagram they've got over there. So if you can see carefully, it shows you this 15, it shows you a 10, and shows you a 15 at the bottom, as you can see there. Over there, 15, 10, and 15. So therefore, I'm going to measure that at first, because that's the only thing I need to measure. Because you have that slope over here, that's that 10 over there in the middle, and then you've got 15 on each side. So let's measure that, 15, 10, and 15. So there we go, 15, 10, 15. Adds up to 40, can you see that? Alright, I'm going to project these lines going up. As I say, I always start with construction lines, but as you get with more experience, guys, you know when you will start seeing lines when you know when to draw them, you know you have to draw them. But for now, just practice by doing this. Okay, now I'm going to make all the lines solid. So I'm going to start off with the top. You've got a solid line at the top over there, as you can see in the diagram. Sorry, in the diagram, there's a solid line at the top. You've got your slope over here, solid lines. Then you're going to have a solid line there, and the solid line over here. So let's do that now. Alright, but we're not completed yet because the example actually asks us to put some hidden detail. So let's put some hidden detail in this drawing. Now hidden detail, guys, it's usually 3mm dash, 2mm gap. Okay, let's do that. 2mm gap, 3mm dash. 2mm gap, 3mm dash. 2mm gap, 3mm dash. 2mm gap, and so forth. So my pencil broke over there. It is something that I hate when it happens. It does make a mess of things. So I'm going to try and rub it out. Now, as I was doing these hidden detail lines, I noticed something. It's a bit of a gap over here. Now, logically, it would have been better if I did not start with the 2mm, maybe 1mm, to make it look symmetrical and neat, but it is acceptable. But there's another way of also doing hidden detail lines. I'm going to show it to you here quickly as an example. So I'm going to draw a line over here like this. Now, if you've seen the erasure shield in my previous exercises, you'll know what's going to happen. Let me show you what I can do with it. You have to line up your erasure shield properly, as best as possible. Try to make it as symmetrical as possible. So this is what I do. I try to make sure I don't have that too many lines in it. Yeah, it's a bit of a hectic, tricky situation there, but I'm going to leave it over there. Okay, and what you do with your razor shield, you line up as symmetrically as possible. Remember, you have to practice with this. You have to try to practice with this, and eventually comes nice and neat. And you just have to rub away the lines. And there's your hidden detail line like that. And that's another way of also doing your hidden detail line with your razor shield and, yeah, rubbing it away. Okay, we might do this one on the top view. But I don't think there'll be any hidden detail on the top view because, yes, there might be hidden detail as you're looking from above, but there's a line that coincides that makes it solid. Okay, let's project to the top view. Alright, and now I'm going to project from the left view to the top view. And as I said, guys, I prefer using the compass method. If you would like to use the 45-degree method, that is fine. It's okay. But I just prefer using this compass method because it's fun. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's project the lines. And as I said, I'm going to make the lines darker. So let's see which lines are going to be dark. Definitely the outline is going to be solid. Okay, we can see that. You're going to see the slope. That's going to be solid. And you'll see this little piece over here that will also be a solid outline. Alright, let's draw this. And as I said, guys, I'll start from top to bottom. Okay, and there we go. That is your first angle orthographic projection, example 6.43 from your textbook. Now, they didn't ask us to put the symbol in that and everything, but if they did, I would usually put the orthographic symbol below the drawing, and the title I'll put it over here. But they didn't ask for that. However, I'm going to also show you this thing now in 3D. Okay, there it is. So here it is in the isometric model. Alright, now we're going to go to the front view. Okay, can you see the front view? Alright, now this time we're going to go to the left view. Can you see? Alright, I'm going to put the hidden detail on. Wow. Okay, now take away all that hidden detail. Let's go to the front view. And from the front view, we're going to go down to the top view. And from the top view, we're now going to go to the front view. Wow. Let's go back to the isometric. And there we go, guys. That is your first angle orthographic exercise. Please, guys, you're not going to get the luxury of having these 3D models and everything, so please try to understand what's going on. Try to develop your 3D perception. Practice makes perfect, guys. That's what it is. Practice makes perfect. Okay, so it did ask for the title and the scale, so I'm just going to rub out this line over here. Guys, as I said, I was just doing this as an example. Try not to do this on your drawings, or else it will count as untidiness and it will work against you in the exam setting. Yes, it will mark you for drawing lines like this in the middle of nowhere, so try not to do that. Alright, so just get that out the way. So they're asking for the title and the symbol. Now normally you have the title first and then the symbol. So the title would normally just be about, you can measure 10 millimeters if you want to. Let's do it professionally, so let's measure 10 millimeters. This is just a guideline. There is no specific measurement, okay? But I'm giving you 10 millimeters because I like to make it symmetrical. So I'm going to measure 10 millimeters. So it's asking for the title, just the title, okay? If they ask for the scale, I'm actually going to put the scale as well, guys. So the title is usually 7 millimeters high. So I'm marking off 7 millimeters, okay? So that's normally the title. The title is usually 7 millimeters high. Okay, and the scale is usually about 3 millimeters, the lettering. Okay, so I'm going to just measure here. Yeah, see, I'm going to measure the 5 millimeters gap, because there's a 5 millimeter gap, and then I'm going to put the scale over here. No, rather put the scale on here, guys, because that's what they also look for in the exam. And then right below there, we're going to do the symbol. And normally I take the symbol from this line over here, guys. It's up to you, but normally I take the symbol from that line. Okay, I projected from this line, so it's more or less in the center already. Okay, so first things first, let's put the title. So this thing over here, according to 6.43, it just says it's a support. So just put over here support. Now remember, these construction lines must be faint, eh? They mustn't be seen. Okay, so I'm going to put here support. Try and make it neat as possible, guys. Okay, normally I would put it on the line, but if it's in between the lines like this, it's fine. As long as it's neat. That's the main thing. As long as it's neat. Okay, make sure you do your lettering properly. Okay, and then I'm going to put you a scale 1 to 1. Okay, and now I'm going to draw the symbol. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. And that is it. That is your first angle example from the textbook. As I said, this is actually a proper, like, typical exam question. No, I'm not lying to you. This is a typical exam question they will give you in the exam. They will give you something like this, and they will ask you for a title, and they'll ask you to put the scale, and they will ask you to draw the symbol as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I hope you've learned a lot. Just remember, guys, keep on practicing, and I hope you have a pleasant day further, and goodbye.